Now, most rappers that come from the streets actually live the life that they make music about. Here's a list of rappers that are sitting away in jail for many years. Our first rapper is Pooh Shiesty. Now, when Pooh Shiesty started gaining major attention in the rap world, he met two individuals inside of a parking lot through Instagram DMs. Shiesty arrives driving a bright green McLaren sports car, wanting to pick up high-end sneakers as well as narcotics from two individuals. While discussing the prices of these goods, Shiesty was seen on video surveillance pulling out a firearm out of his waistband and using it towards the two men. After hitting one in the hip and the other one in the backside while they were trying to sprint away, Shiesty then hopped back into his McLaren, grabbing the goods off of the trunk of the vehicle. While trying to make a quick getaway, a Louis Vuitton bag falls out of his green McLaren. It was left at the scene in the parking lot. Pooh Shiesty headed directly towards the airport. He then rented a private jet and flew right out of there before law enforcement even had the chance of arresting him. Now, without realizing, Pooh Shiesty just committed an armed robbery right beside a police station, as the video surveillance you see of the crime was recorded by a local police station's camera. Not to mention, Pooh Shiesty then posted a selfie with the exact same McLaren he just did an armed robbery in on his Instagram. The Louis Vuitton bag that was holding $40,912 in cash also made him found guilty in court, as Shiesty uploaded several photos to his Instagram of him doing the money stretch across his body type thing, and the feds downloaded these photos, zoomed in on them, and you can actually see the serial number on the bills. It ended up matching the same bills that were in the Louis Vuitton bag, proving that the bag was Shiesty's and Pooh Shiesty just committed an armed robbery against two individuals. Now, for this crime, Pooh Shiesty was then sentenced to 7 years in prison, and since then has been seen on several occasions showing up to court hearings wearing turtle suits and allegedly having a very hard time while in jail. The second rapper is YNW Melly. Now, after hit songs such as Mixed Personalities and Blue Balenciagas were released, rapper YNW Melly was arrested, as YNW Melly is the main suspect in the case of YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser's passing. Now, it all starts on October 26 in 2018. At roughly 3:30 a.m., YNW Melly, Juvie, Sack Chaser, and Bortland were all at a recording studio getting work done for Melly's new project. Video surveillance caught the four men hopping inside of their Jeep and heading home once their session was over. Now, the driver of the vehicle was Cortland Henry, otherwise known as YNW Bortland, with Melly sitting directly behind him. Due to GPS evidence, law enforcement states that the Jeep was then driven into a side parking lot where there was nobody in sight, as well as no security cameras anywhere. This is when YNW Melly allegedly did the act towards Juvie and Sack Chaser inside of the vehicle, while YNW Bortland created a distraction. Due to GPS evidence, law enforcement then claim YNW Melly stepped out of the vehicle, walked around the car in a 360-degree motion, and roughed up the vehicle, making it appear as if a drive-by just occurred. Little did YNW Melly know there was firearm casings coming out and they were landing on the grass and the cement. Law enforcement were able to find the same casings of that firearm under this floor mat where YNW Melly was sitting. Law enforcement then used what's called the stick method, which is basically long plastic sticks, and they were able to match the trajectory of where YNW Melly was sitting to where Juvie and Sack Chaser were sitting. And where the two YNW boys were affected by the firearm matches where YNW Melly was sitting perfectly, using the stick method to track the trajectory of the firearm. Then on YNW Melly's cell phone, law enforcement were able to find a text message that Melly sent his girlfriend at the time saying, "I kept Bortland with me because at the end of the day, he did one of the realest stuff in my life." Now, this could be YNW Melly's way of thanking Bortland for remaining loyal and not snitching. However, after the act was done, YNW Bortland then drove Juvie and Sack Chaser to the hospital by himself, as YNW Melly was then seen on GPS sprinting down the road all the way to his Florida house. It wasn't until February 13th where YNW Melly was brought into jail for the act that led to Juvie and Sack Chaser's passing, with YNW Bortland also being arrested for 2 counts of accessory and helping YNW Melly cover it up. Law enforcement has been building up evidence against Melly for 2 years. They finally believe they have enough evidence to sentence to YNW Melly to life, or even the penalty. This will all be happening on May 23rd, 2022. The next rapper to be behind bars will be Lil Durk, as the judge in his case from 2019 announced that the new evidence against the Chicago rapper makes him look very guilty. Now, the case begins in 2019. Rappers Lil Durk and King Von were out in Atlanta at a restaurant called The Varsity. Law enforcement states that they now have video evidence against Lil Durk using a firearm towards an individual named Alexander Witherspoon. Now, this was after Durk and Von snatched his chain, according to police reports. Now, those records claim the two rappers were at a recording studio throughout the night. After their session was done, they headed over to the gas station before going to the Varsity for dinner. At the Varsity parking lot, this is where Lil Durk and Von found Alexander Witherspoon, as Witherspoon was standing outside of his vehicle, leaned up against his hood. Lil Durk and King Von were then seen on video surveillance running over to the side of the building, putting up their hoods and thinking of a way to rob this individual. After a few moments go by, Durk and King Von start running over to Alexander Witherspoon. A small conversation breaks out before the two rappers rob him for $30,000 cash, as well as robbing his chain in the process. While it was all going down, Alexander's car keys fell out of his jeans pocket, where one of the rappers proceeded to pick them up and then steal his vehicle. While driving away, footage caught one of the two rappers sticking their arm out of the window and using a firearm towards Witherspoon while he was laying on the ground. A warrant then went out quickly for Lil Durk's arrest before turning himself into jail. That's when he released his hit song, Turn Myself In, claiming that he is innocent in this case and will get through it with no issues. A judge then granted Lil Durk and King Von bond in this case, with Durk's bond being $250K and King Von being $300K. There was conditions made that both rappers are not allowed to be near firearms and can't have contact with anyone involved in the case. A restraining order was then placed against the two rappers. They were not allowed in the same area near each other, and this is the reason Durk was not with King Von on the day that he sadly passed in Atlanta. Now, the judge has recently announced they have found probable cause to charge Lil Durk for the act alongside 5 other charges involving street activities and holding firearms as a convicted felon. Now, the new evidence in this case, as said in the files, the security footage of someone's arm coming out of the window of the vehicle wasn't good enough quality to tell whose arm it was. The feds are now trying to prove that it's Lil Durk's by comparing the tattoos on the individual's arm using technology to make the video surveillance a much better quality. If Lil Durk is found guilty in this court case, he will be getting sentenced to prison for around 15 to 20 years. This is due to his criminal history, as well as how severe this crime is, as well as the 5 charges that could be placed against him for holding firearms while on bond. If he ends up finding guilty for those as well, there will be additional sentencing on his main sentence. Now, those are rappers that are currently sitting in jail. If you enjoyed, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. It's been District Trending, and I'm out. Peace.